And we turn now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and our road to recovery on this Memorial Day weekend. 2 more regions of the state of New York could reopen next week, Westchester and the northern suburbs, along with Long Island. Now, both New York and New Jersey are allowing more people to gather on this Memorial Day weekend, and both states reported fewer than 100 deaths in the past 24 hours. It's been a long time since we've seen numbers like these. Unfortunately, there's still too many. In New York, reporting 84 people lost their lives, and in New Jersey, 96 lives lost.
Meantime, in the city, there is a new push to loosen some restrictions and open the beaches for swimming. Last night, the city council released a list of recommendations that it wants the mayor to implement to safely reopen this summer. Today, New York's Ken Buffa is joining us live now from Rockaway Beach in Queens with more details on that plan. Ken?
Well, Gus, the beaches are technically open, but swimming is not allowed. But you can see right behind me, surfing is allowed, and the city council is now laying out a roadmap to reopening the beaches this summer. The council released its own recommendations on how beaches should be handled, and they suggest beachgoers should be allowed to go for a dip. They also say beaches should have reduced capacity, and some parts of the sand should be sectioned off so visitors can sunbathe and move around more safely. Lastly, the council wants lifeguards to be given PPE, and bathrooms should be opened and cleaned frequently. As for the restaurants adjacent to the beaches, the council wants them open too. Now, as it stands, Mayor de Blasio says swimming is not allowed, but like you saw, surfing is okay. And if New Yorkers want to cool off, the only thing they can do is enter the water up to their ankles. But New Yorkers we spoke to say they disagree with that rule.
I think people should be able to enjoy it. This is our beach. If you're healthy, you can go in the water, come out the water, and walk around, and nothing's going to happen to you.
Now, according to de Blasio's staff, the mayor is reviewing the council's proposals, but as the weather heats up, council members are worried hot New Yorkers will be hitting the water sooner than allowed. In fact, just Friday there was a drowning here, so they're really hoping that there is some wiggle room so these restrictions are lifted so New Yorkers can again go into the water past their ankles. That is latest from here in Rockaway. Ken Buffa, Today in New York.
Ken, thank you. Well, in New Jersey, most boardwalks and beaches have reopened, although, of course, social distancing and capacity restrictions are being enforced. Now, a lot of towns are enforcing their own restrictions, too. Some of them keeping bathrooms closed and others just not allowing anyone to swim. Now, drone video that we took shows some decent crowds in Sea Isle City. This was Saturday morning, but, of course, it was rainy and drizzly. One business owner in Point Pleasant tells us it has been off to a slow start.
Right now, if this was a normal Memorial Day weekend with rain in the morning and then, you know, it's kind of clearing up right now, I would have a store full of people right now. And there's nobody around. So, I mean, there's nobody even down at the shore.
Non-essential businesses around New Jersey have already started some curbside pickup services, and some shore hotels are going to reopen after Memorial Day. Gus?
Pat, also in New Jersey, Hoboken is expanding its Open Streets program this morning. Here's a live look at Park Avenue between 5th and 11th Streets there. That is one of 2 new stretches about to open up to pedestrians and cyclists. It happens at 8 a.m. The other is 10th Street between Garden and Grant. All part of a plan to create more space for social distancing and avoid overcrowding in other public spaces. The city introduced other blocks of open streets over the past 2 weekends.
Spots in the country, certainly the first in our area, and it is now on the verge of reopening. Governor Cuomo says the city's northern suburbs could begin phase 1 right after the holiday weekend, and that includes Westchester County. New York's Miles Miller has more now from Westchester.
The Mid-Hudson region could be cleared to reopen starting on Tuesday. The region, which encompasses much of the lower Hudson Valley, is close to meeting key benchmarks for reopening, which includes a sustained decrease in COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths.
We're happy to see that we've made progress to this point.
Westchester County among the 7 counties that could be back open for business starting on Tuesday. It's a full circle moment for the county, which was the first in New York State with a sustained outbreak in the city of New Rochelle. It ushered in the National Guard and a containment area.
7 weeks ago, it was pretty rough. We had a lot of fatalities overnight. We had 1,200 people in the the hospital. Those were serious numbers, 12,000 active cases. But now it looks like we've got a handle on them, as much as anybody can feel that way.
Key to reopening is that all 7 counties must hire contact tracers and get them trained this weekend.
It has to reopen sometimes. At some point, I just hope that it opens in layers so that not everyone starts to come out at once.
Adrian and Miriam Campos were shopping in Mount Vernon. They welcome news of the reopening, but stressed everyone should exercise caution.
The most important thing is that everyone is safe and that they use their judgment to come out, and if they are at risk, then it's best if they continue to stay inside.
That sentiment echoed by County Executive Latimer.
We also have to do this without expanding the spread, because we've lost 1,300 people in this county who were alive on March 1st and not alive now, and so whatever we do, we just have to be reasonable and smart about it.
I'm Miles Miller, Weekend Today in New York.
And there is more encouraging news. Governor Cuomo says Long Island could begin reopening some parts of its economy as soon as Wednesday. Now, there are 2 conditions. Governor Cuomo wants the number of COVID-19 deaths to keep dropping, of course, and he says Long Island needs to ramp up training for those contact tracers as well. Both Nassau and Suffolk counties are on track for the first phase of reopening of certain businesses, and that includes construction, manufacturing, and retail, but shopping won't be the same.
Can't go in, you can't walk around. You call ahead and you say what you would like, and obviously many times the transaction will be through credit card, just over the phone, and then you go and pick it up.
We will, I believe, hit Wednesday, phase 1, and we will begin the reopening, which is very good news.
And a reminder, this Memorial Day weekend, some beaches in Nassau and Suffolk counties are restricted to local residents. Officials are also limiting capacity to create more space for social distancing.
Now, while the situation in the tri-state is slowly improving, the number of cases of coronavirus and the number of lives it has taken across this country continues to rise. Today, there are more than 1.6 million people who've been diagnosed with COVID-19, and nearly 100,000 people have died. This morning, the New York Times has a tribute that will stop you in your tracks. The names of 1,000 victims, just 1% of the total number of people we've lost to COVID-19, appear on the front page of the Times as a memorial to the lives we have lost. It just really takes your breath away, Gus.